She's training.
Are you going to, Euchre, Renee?
He's gonna have his 90th birthday. Did you ask me something?
You going?
No.
No?
No, I was afraid to sign up because I didn't want to delay everybody. And they had 24 anyway. Sherry knows if she ever needs another person. And I'm not signed up, she can
My wife had her shoulder replacement on Friday. Well, generator,
be on the shoulder.
they give you.
So you guys, we have.
She said no pay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Quarry Community Board of Directors meeting. Just a reminder to silence your phones. We would appreciate that. And as a gentle reminder, we do have a microphone set up for the audience. We do ask that you do state your name when you approach each time to the microphone. With that, Tom?
Okay, it's 4 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order.
Thank you, Tom. We do have a quorum of all 7 of our board of directors present. The meeting was noticed by placing the agenda outside of the main office, and that occurred a week ago at noon by Mark. Thank you, Mark, for doing that. At this time, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. And as we get settled, number 4 on the agenda, approval of a board of directors minutes from the October 15th, 2025. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion?
Renee makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Pam seconds. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, is there any discussion today? Seeing no discussions, as Jody has submitted, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. At this time, we'd like to turn over the meeting to number 5, the 2026 draft budget. Mr. Solomon, our treasurer, will be presenting.
Thanks, Scott. Okay, this is going to be very quick because I recognize a lot of faces. We've gone through this 2 or 3 times already in detail. So I just have a few slides I'll go through. First of all, just a summary. Overall, the assessment is going to increase 2.7%. It'll be different for each neighborhood, which I'll show on the next page. And would benefit this year from a forecasted rollover of $144,000, which we anticipate or are forecasting as the profit for this year. And we're collecting $110,000, at least we expect to, in higher resale fees based on the positive vote that we had last March. The budget also includes $85,000 for the sugarcane mosaic virus. And we're going to see come winter exactly what the plan is. The $85,000 is earmarked just for single family homes. So that'll only affect those people in those homes. As I said before, if we need more, we'll have to special assess. If we don't spend the $85,000, then it rolls over into the next year. It's going to be put in the reserve account and we'll handle it as a reserve item. So it's not like this $85,000 could be spent on anything else if we don't need it for the virus. Okay, the last thing, and one of the biggest topics we had for the last few meetings is the focus on food and beverage operations. Scott and I went through a lot of material on that. Real big emphasis. We're emphasizing getting the right staff in order to be able to serve people. We're going to have reservations, which I believe Scott will be talking about a little bit more and the reason for it. But there were a lot of learnings in this past year. As a result, we put more money in the budget for food and beverage operations, and we're looking forward to a very successful season. Okay, so here are the assessments. It was in the letter everyone received. Hopefully, you looked at the column that pertains to your particular assessment. As I said, the master is up 2.2%, and you'll see breakwater is up more than any other area. They have some unique expenses associated just with the 14 homes on Breakwater Drive. And if you look at it in total, it averages 2.7%, but no one will see that number. You'll see whatever column you're in, that's what your assessment increase is going to be. So we're happy to keep it low this year. And we're fortunate that we had a lot of things that went our way, preparing us for 2026. Just a reminder in terms of when the assessment due dates are, first of each quarter. And we're very fortunate in the quarry. We don't have delinquencies. We may have one or two each year that we have to work through our attorneys, but we eventually collect every cent. So we are very fortunate in that regard. So thank you, everyone, for that. So that's all I really have for the budget today. We could have a discussion. I want to make a motion to approve the budget for 2026. So I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second, please? Mark makes a second. Now we'd open to the board for discussion.
I think we're all discussed out on it.
But just some appreciation for the finance committee and Jerry for all the hard work. It's a yeoman's task, trust me. Good job, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any comments online or from the community?
No, sir.
All right. Seeing none, all those in favor? The budget passes for 2026 unanimously. Thank you very much again to our finance committee, to Jerry, the board of directors, and also the committees that helped put this together. Thank you. All right, now the exciting stuff, now that that's over with. All right, general manager report. We have three things today. We're going to talk about the beach club operations in 26, just to highlight those. Next, we have reservation policy review, and we'll talk about the sports court survey results. And we have a color commentator, Tom Heaslip's going to add some color to the actual results. So we look forward to his comments as well. Beach club operations. I've summarized a little bit from the full presentation that we did at the town hall meeting. Really, we're focused on three points: producing consistent service, boosting member satisfaction, ensuring fiscal responsibility. These are the three things that we heard come out of our town hall, food and beverage meeting, general manager meetings, things like that. Really starts with staff recruitment and retention, hiring the quality staff. If you've been in the dining room the last week, you'll notice our staff levels are starting to increase for the seasonal level. We're fortunate that we have some of our long-term team members come back, I should say. It's always great to see Brian, who's been promoted to the banquet captain, Mike, who's been promoted behind the bar to our bar manager, Kevin, who comes in from Quail Creek. He's actually been a food and beverage director at other locations. He's joining us as one of our on-the-floor servers. And we have hired a food and beverage director to replace Gracie, who'll be starting on the 25th. And that's the hook to keep you paying attention. I'll mention him at the end of this presentation. Next one we have. Boosting our member satisfaction. Weird happy hour 7 days a week was important. We noticed that we knew that increase of member events was important. The cuisine carousels that we debuted during the summertime have been very popular. We're going to be doing those not only through December on Thursday nights, but as we get to the bocce season, January, February, March, we'll be doing those on Wednesdays and Thursdays to help accommodate the larger number of people we have on those evenings. We also heard that opening Sundays was important all year round, so we will be open year round on Sundays. And we also found that the pop-up complimentary tastings, price is always right on those, that those are popular as well, so we'll be continuing to book those. Diving into happy hour a little bit, this is a lot of discussion. As of November 1st, we did start this happy hour. We're from 4 to 6 every day. Wednesdays will be 4 to 6, drinks $20, will be 50% off. That's to promote our midweek mingle, always fun. Thursday through Tuesday, so the other 6 days a week, will be 25% off of the drinks. We did hear that the 3 to 5 o'clock wasn't really working for a lot of people. Last season, we saw the $4, $5, and $7 and the $2 off signatures. Just wasn't really happy with what people were getting, so we changed it to a little bit easier, that 50% off on Wednesdays and 25% off on the rest of the week. Couple things that'll be leaving until next summer. The popular half-price pizzas on Wednesdays, those are going away. We did lose money on those, but again, it did boost our owner satisfaction. We will be, again, we talked about decreasing. Happy hour on Wednesdays was 4 till close, or 4 to 8. Now it's going to 4 to 6 as we move into season. And then we removed the Friday tapas, which were popular as we went through the summertime. Adjusting menu prices. If anybody's gone to the grocery store lately, you kind of understand why we're adjusting the prices. We did a price comparison. Some of the items were up as much as 30% year over year. As you might imagine, what we deal with are certainly the higher, typically the more center cuts of meat, which we've seen larger increases. Hopefully you understand why we have to raise the prices. If you've been in the dining room since we rolled out the menu last week, you see there are some increases of $1 here, $1 there, but that's what we need to do to ensure that we're meeting our food costs. Reservations. I'm going to slow down a little bit on this one. Starting November 1st, we implemented a reservation policy that you do need reservations, in particular for dining or dinner time, I should say. We do have certain areas that are first come, first serve, so it's walk-in. That's around the main beach club bar, the Q bar itself, or the high tops around the Q bar. This is really meant to implement a pace in which people are able to come in, sit, and enjoy, so that our kitchen, our service staff are staffed appropriately. We did see a week prior to implementing this, we saw a Wednesday night where normally we'd have about 30 to 32 reservations, jumped up to near 70 reservations. So people are making reservations online. We did adjust our system so that you can make reservations online 3 hours prior to the dinner time. So up until about, I think it's 2 o'clock, you can make reservations for that same day. So that's really helped us as far as implementing that reservation policy. We have divided it. So before you were just making reservations, now you can choose if you're in the dining room, the patio, or the Q bar. One of the things that I did want to touch on is people were perhaps saying, look, if I show up and all these tables are empty, what do you mean I can't have a seat? If we have reservations that are not filled, we're going to seat you. Or we're going to say, look, I have a reservation that's available in 15 minutes. We're going to be able to take you at that time. Our goal, as we talked about, is taking approximately 24 covers or people every 15 minutes. That's about 100, it's 96 people to be exact, about every hour. So that would be our goal. We found that's a threshold that we'd like to achieve, in addition to certain walk-ins that will be occurring at the same time. This may change as we move through November, December, January, might go up, might go down. We have the ability to, on a daily basis, if we see that Mondays there's not a problem, we're going to say, all right, we can take 30 reservations every 15 minutes versus 24. It may not seem like a large number, but it makes a big difference as far as the overall flow of the evening. We did notice this weekend, you've been great about making reservations. We really appreciate that. We had 75% of the people that enjoyed dinner on Sunday night did have reservations. So that's a really good increase. We encourage you, keep making the reservations, keep helping us provide better service. So I'm going to pause there. Any questions on reservations that you might have?
You got a board member there.
Oh, yes. Jody, I'm sorry.
Scott, just for clarity, I know this came up with somebody recently, a friend.
Yeah.
The high tops in the dining room, those are reservation.
They are, that's correct. And again, we're learning, and it may turn out that those are the ones that we were probably last to include on reservations only. That may turn out that, hey, if we're finding that everybody's making reservations and it's working out great, we may open up those tables at a later date. But for right now, I think we're in a very restrictive phase because we want to control it, and we have the ability to loosen it as the season goes on and we see how we're doing.
And then I had one more question. I said I wasn't going to tell a friend that I would ask it because I was trying to encourage them to come. I don't see them here,
But if you had a friend, they might ask.
but
Oh,
Well, that came, okay, that came out wrong. It was meant to be. I'm sorry. If you had a friend who wanted to ask a question, that would be
your friend Jody. That was the
It's
thing.
better than you, Mark. Thank you. So this,
so much trouble.
this person, you are. This person wanted to know, why do they need a reservation at the lower tables at the Q bar? Why couldn't they just have that whole Q bar area be open without reservations?
Sure, sure. So we took the maximum number of walk-ins and we looked for a physical way that people could tell where they would be able to sit or not sit. And when we think about the Q bar, there's a little bit more of a casual atmosphere, sports bar atmosphere. And we feel that those tables, I think there's 5 of them that are close to the bar there, including the seats around the bar, was a good physical barrier that people could understand. And that's the reason we chose those versus some of the low tables.
So to the one friend I have out there, I did ask.
Scott, I got a question.
Yes, I'm not going to say anything. Go ahead. Yes,
Boy,
please.
Boy, Scott, I've got a question, and I think it's something that a lot of people have thought about, because I don't think we're totally trying to discourage everybody from coming.
No.
But if it gets to be 3 o'clock and you're out on the golf course, or you're playing tennis, you're doing something, and you say, geez, we've changed our plans, we want to come.
Yep.
It's after the 2 o'clock. Could we call up and say, hey, do you have a spot you could accommodate us at, and we could time it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought we sent that out in the communications. And if I wasn't clear, I'll be very, very clear. After that, when reservations cut off, call the host, call Maria at the front desk if she's there. We're gonna take those reservations. And even if you're literally playing bocce at 5 o'clock and you decide, hey, we won the game, we want to go get a table, call over, give us 15 minutes notice. That way we're able to at least prepare and say, hey, you know what? We don't have it 15 minutes from now, but maybe 25 minutes from now, we'll have that table ready for you. Just give us a heads up. That's what we're asking for. Whether you email, call us, smoke signals, you're leaving your driveway, let us know. Anything you can do to give us a heads up, it's really valuable to us so that we can understand what's coming at us versus having to overstaff. And that's really where this is coming from. And that's one of the underlying factors is we've had, nights when we've had 150 walk-ins, and it's difficult for us to staff that and provide great service. The idea is that through this control mechanism, we're able to provide consistent service throughout. It may seem simplistic, but literally, if you come 15 minutes earlier or 15 minutes later on a certain night, that helps tremendously as far as spacing out these orders as they come at us. So, good question. Thank you, John.
And I think more of a comment than a question, because there's been a lot of dialogue about this, obviously. If you take the 5:30 to 7 o'clock time frame, 24 reservations every 15 minutes, that's about 150 reservations. There are spots for 64 walk-ins between the 2 bars and the high tops and the Q bar. So in that hour and a half, that's 210 people. That's a big restaurant. It doesn't feel big here because we've got over 300 seats. But if you stop and you compare yourself to any of the restaurants right outside our gates, none of them even seat 200 people. So I think what we're trying to get to is again, it's pacing of the kitchen more than anything. And ideally that pacing in that hour and a half and those people is what's adequate. And it's something we're going to be watching very closely. As you guys know, if you've been listening to meetings, I have a lot of concerns about this. But I am also trusting the numbers in the kitchen and the volumes we're talking about to say, there's clearly we have to get to the point where we say it's not going to work anymore. And so the only thing I would just say is I think we've done a really wonderful job with the communication of the reservation policy. I'm a little concerned that the community doesn't understand, to John's point, after 3 o'clock, you can call and you can say, is there a spot for me? And you can still get a reservation, just has to be called in, not online. And I just think we have to be clear with everybody that that's the case. The second thing is there are going to be 64 walk-in spots. Now, some of those might be tied up with people at the bar not eating necessarily, but the reality is that that's the way the policy is going to work. So I think we're just going to have to keep hammering that into people so that everybody knows, not just now, but this will be even bigger. November, December will be a good warm up for January through March. And that's what we're hoping is we get it right by January.
Is it
No, I was using an example of just proposing I'm past the time.
That's a fair question because
2 o'clock.
is it 2 o'clock?
It is 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay. But I agree with you. We were saying 3 o'clock the last couple meetings.
Scott, do you have any metric that you're going to be measuring, that you're going to be able to share with the community, how well the reservations are going as it relates to service times?
Yeah, we thought about that, and a very wise board member gave me some suggestions, Tom Heaslip, that we should probably look at, and what we're tracking now is what percentage of total covers we serve in one night were reservations versus walk-ins. And we're going to try to determine how many people we actually turn away. That's going to be a little bit fuzzy. In other words, somebody may walk up and say, hey, how long do I have to wait? And I might say 15 minutes, and they may never come back, or they may stay, or I'm not sure if they're go to the golf club or whatever they may do. So that one's going to be a little bit more difficult to tell what percentage we actually turn away. But I think the first two numbers are key. What percentage of the actual numbers are reservation?
Are you tracking the delivery time, the service times?
Yeah, so
Owners?
we started that probably about 45 days ago. So what we do is we track lunch and dinner, we break them out into periods. And what we do is we track average service time. So when your ticket actually gets rang into the kitchen till it leaves the kitchen, we have a timestamp in there that we stamp it. So we do lunch and we do dinner, we track average, and then we track the longest ticket time as well. So those we've been tracking, and we graph those and watch those.
And so, and I did ask for the percentage of reservations, but the other one I really wanted to also look at is number of reservations and, excuse me, number of covers compared to last year. Because one of my concerns was that people are just not going to come to our restaurant thinking I don't have a reservation, I might as well go somewhere else. And it's one of my concerns is that overall attendance goes down because people aren't going to be as spontaneous as they were. So as best we can, we're going to compare each week to the what it was a year ago and just understand, are we still tracking on par with, or are we losing business because of the reservation policy as it stands today? So hopefully we'll have a much better chance. I think it's going to take months to really dial this in and get numbers on it. But the point is, we're really going to do our best to track what is the total attendance, what is the percentage of reservations, and is it working? Are we getting to the service times and service levels that we're expecting?
And also, Tom, underneath all of this is owner satisfaction.
Right.
I mean, that's why we're doing all this. If we're not providing owner satisfaction, it's all for naught. Yes. I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you to step to the microphone.
All right. One there, one there.
And just a reminder, please say your name because we have people at home that are looking. Is it on? Hello, Ms. Hill. Mark, you turn on.
It sounds like it's on.
List after 2 o'clock, and you can call and find out about the wait list. So we don't lose the people who are coming at last minute, because that's our big concern, and I understand that. So if you say after 2 o'clock, you can come and get on a wait list rather than you can't come at all. That's kind of what I was hearing when you said after 2 o'clock, you can't make reservations anymore. If you say, if you want to go to the restaurant, you can get on a wait list, or perhaps you can even call and get on a wait list.
Sure.
Maybe that would help.
And thank you, Mrs. Hill. That's an important piece of information that I need to understand. Then the messaging wasn't clear, because the idea is you can call and again, we have those set of reservations. If there's a table open, we're going to put you on that. If you call at 3:45, we're putting you into a table if it's open at a certain time or whatever it is. So I'll make sure, I took a note that we'd make sure we have to hit that point hard about calling what happens after 2 o'clock and how you make reservations.
Scott, what does it say on the screen if you try to make a reservation, say at 4 o'clock? Will it say, please call to see if we have available space?
Good question. I haven't looked at that, but I believe it does. Fred, did you have a question?
That was my question, Jerry. Thank
Oh.
you. I have a follow-up. When did this start? Did it start November 1st?
We've had this reservation system turned on for about a year now.
Because I went to the reservation at Quarry, whatever it is, and I didn't see any of these screens. And I just put an email in that said, Fred Bergerhoff, we want a reservation for 4 at 6 o'clock on Sunday evening. I got no confirmation,
Mhm.
and I didn't know if the reservation went through or not.
So perhaps you weren't on the right, there is only one reservation screen, so for dining.
I clicked on the link that was, that was published.
Okay, Fred, you and I can talk, but this is the first I've heard of that. Has anybody else had trouble making reservations online? No? Yeah, hopefully they,
And you do get a confirmation.
yeah, and that's
When
a
you
good,
make a reservation, you do get a confirmation.
so Fred,
Okay.
yeah.
When asked about it, when we planned,
Hmm?
we were told, quote unquote, I didn't come in until just now. I'll send it out now. And that was
I don't,
several hours later.
I don't quite understand what that means, but Fred, I'm happy to talk to you after the meeting. So to be very clear, what Jody's point was, if you make a reservation and it's an open time, because it will not allow you to make the reservation if the time slots are full, you will get an immediate confirmation that this reservation is accepted and made, and then you'll get another follow-up 24 hours if that's the case in advance, and 48 hours in advance. So there's 3 times that we will confirm that reservation. So, Fred, I mean, okay. Or check with Maria, stop in, and she can help as well.
Linda asked. I have a question. As Linda asked, is there a wait list? If you walk up to the, or call in and say it's 3 o'clock, is there going to be a wait list where people are so that if the reservations are full, but somebody shows up, you're listed on a wait list, written down somewhere or something?
We don't plan to have a wait list. What we're going to do is offer you the times that are available.
But what if there aren't any times available? Then can't you go on a wait list? Because somebody might not show up.
I guess the options are, we're looking at if we take from 5 o'clock till essentially 8:30, and we do the system that we have in place of 96 people per hour, we've only exceeded that number twice in the last 12 months. So-
And wait list is actually quite complicated, to be honest, because I know people in the restaurant business, and there are a lot of restaurants that don't take wait list. Like if you go to Open Table, there isn't a wait list on Open Table. You just have to keep calling and saying, do you have a table? Do you have a table? Or keep getting online and refreshing. Yeah. Yes, but even then, you can't leave it as, put me on a wait list. You just have to keep trying.
Okay. Mark, any questions? Further questions? Okay. Thank you very much. And as you hear these things, like Fred in particular, come to us. Because again, we're not foolproof. We want to hear about it. And that way we can try to make corrections as soon as possible. We're looking forward to a great season. We've already seen a lot of our owners are back. Our trash can count officially says that 2/3 of our owners are back, so as opposed to with the normal counts. And lastly, for food and beverage, I want to announce the appointment of Andy as our food and beverage director. Andy joins us with 13 years of food and beverage director experience. He's joining us from Lakeside Country Club. He was the bar manager prior to being the food and beverage director. He's really excited to join our team. He's joining us November 25th. He'll be joining us. They're used to doing 200 to 350 covers a night, so very comparable as far as what we're doing. Comes forward with really great experience. He was originally went to school and trained as an executive chef, worked in Atlanta as an executive chef, moved to the front of the house to be the beverage director, now food and beverage director at Lakeside for the last, I think it's 13 years. So we're looking forward to having him join us. And that will be kind of the missing piece of our puzzle for the food and beverage operation. We did have our sous chef join us, Ashley, so she's excited. She joined us on October 28th. She comes with a lot of great experience helping Chad out in the kitchen as well. With that, I have any other questions about food and beverage? Okay. Sports court survey results. I'm going to go through the data pretty quickly. The rec committee has this data. They've been talking about it. They've been making some good interpretation of the data and even some changes as we talk about some of the sports courts rules you saw presented at the last meeting. We did have, we're going to focus on tennis first. We had 42% were male, 58% female. Most of the participants that responded were between the 3.0 and 3.5 level. and they played between 3 and 4 times a week. Some of the highlights: strong engagement in play. Over half played 3 times a week, showing tennis as a core activity. The preferred formats included clinics and drills, independent games, and leagues. Instruction, Philippe in particular, who joined us, is well received and praised for skill-focused and engaging instructors. Facility ratings, we get about 70%. I think there's room for improvement there. I'm sure 70% rated the facility good to excellent, but I still think there's some options there. You'll see in a little bit. And then the Pro Shop, where Catherine is, creating a curated Pro Shop experience. The solid satisfaction there with the merchandise services and the interest in trunk shows. So I think we have a trunk show coming up next week, I think. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Opportunities to improve. We know that primetime morning availability is a recurring concern. Some field teams and leagues block to restrict social play. And then the request for round robins open play and more balanced court use. Number 2, program variety and pricing. We heard some requests that the pricing may be getting a little bit too high for lessons and clinics. We did do a comparison to other clubs just to make sure that we're in line. And then interest in beginner options, summer programming, and transparent pricing again. Next one, facility enhancements. We've been hearing about this for a year or two. More shade, more seating, better lighting, and wind protection. The board's taken proactive steps to approach the more shade. We have 10 umbrellas coming on or about the first of the year. Better lighting. We did upgrade to the LED lights on the tennis courts. That happened probably about 4 months ago, probably over the summertime. We did hear about court maintenance, as well as uneven grooming and just some weeds that were coming up on the sides of the courts. And then we're looking for strong social engagement. Calls for advance notice and better communication of events. You'll notice that we produced the calendar for the tennis in particular, came out pretty early. Next one, pickleball. Pickleball, 42% male, 58% female. Most are at the intermediate level. We had great participation. We had 166 responses. It indicates that pickleball is more widely played than tennis in our current community. It was nearly double the responses. Frequency, we have 50% of those players are playing 3 times a week. Preferred activities are open play, independent games, and then friends. The clinics are well received with Dial It Up, rated as highly informative, skill building, and multiple instructors were praised. High enthusiasm for events like Dinks and Drinks. I know that the committees are putting out a social play calendar coming up soon. Opportunities for improvements, consistent complaint. The clinics fill up too quickly. Some people get priority. Call for limits on the clinics of 2 clinics per week per person to share access, and automated waitlist management, cancellations, and clear sign-up rules. Scheduling balance. Really divisions of gender versus skill-based open play. Some want more women's and men's times restored to 9:30. Others prefer the mixed versus skill level based. And there's a desire for evening and weekend options for working residents. Then I have more structured events like ladder leagues, challenge courts, and social tournaments, and then requests for frequent social, better advertising, and beginner-friendly formats. And the last one, court maintenance, overall good. We need to get some shade by court number 1, was really the big one. And then when we look at both of those surveys, really both sports face challenges in court access during prime time. That's what the biggest concern was. Program variety, players want offerings segmented by skill level, not one size fit all. Cost transparency, tennis players worry about high clinic costs, pickleball players worry about equity of free clinics, and we'll get into free clinics in a little bit. Social connection, the high appetite for social competitive events with better promotion and advance notice. We need seating, shade, maintenance. And then the last one is equity and fairness. Strong demand for fair signups and scheduling systems in both sports. So the good thing is the rec committee has started to address a lot of these. Tom, I think you had some color comments for the.
Yeah, I'll try to make it as colorful as possible. A couple things. First, this was a really successful survey from our standpoint. First, the participation rate, we had over 80 people respond to the tennis survey, over 160 people respond to the pickle survey. Those are probably twice what I would have expected, so that was great. Second, the feedback was really, really helpful. We got a lot of very positive feedback on what we've done, and we got some really good constructive feedback over what we should be doing a little bit differently. There were some new ideas in there and some things that we had heard before, but it was good to get it into written format and kind of in scale and scope to the entirety of the community in the process. So in that sense, it was exactly what the rec committee had hoped for when we put the survey out early this year, to be able to go into this season and make adjustments going into the season, so we can be as primed up as we can for the meat of the season. Just a couple points on some of the specifics there. Yes, they're crowded at prime time. That's to be expected. I think the saying goes, you don't build a church for Easter Sunday. So, because the reality is the courts are available in the afternoons. It's just everybody likes to play in the morning. So and we made some adjustments to schedules to be as friendly as possible to as many people as possible. That always works a little bit better in pickleball because of the style of play versus tennis, but that's just cultural norms of what each community looks for as far as as how they play. There was feedback about difficulty getting into clinics. And there was last year for two reasons. Number one, they were free. And number two, we didn't have a good system in place to limit. We told people you're only allowed to take two, but we didn't have a place to manage that. So we were getting people taking 3 and 4. This year, we're charging $8 a clinic, which itself will probably self-regulate it. That's very similar to what people pay for classes in the wellness center. It's very fair to offset the costs of the dial-it-up program. So we think that's going to work well. We'll watch that very closely. We do want every clinic to be very full. And so, we think we're going to get there with, quite frankly, the $8 is a pretty modest fee for what we're offering at that time point. So, but we will continue to watch that. Social programs and tennis was good. I think people were looking for some more in pickle. We sat down, we created a really nice pickleball calendar that will be. We're fine tuning it right now. We have pretty good ideas that will be once or twice a month. We'll be offering social events. Some of the feedback was we need to focus more in evenings. There are a lot of people still working, or the courts are busy in the morning, so they're looking for evening socials. We'll be adding those as we go. And we'll be adding them also by level, in the sense that there was a lot of feedback we got. People like to play with people of a similar game. So it's not fun for a beginner to be smashed at by advanced players. And quite frankly, vice versa, the advanced players looking for advanced games. So we will be putting out a social calendar that manages that as best we can. It's never going to be perfect, but we are going to at least try to guide it. We'll be having some food events in there and things like that. A lot of these will come with a cost to help offset the fees in the process. So again, this will be the first year we're really doing it heavily. We did a little bit a couple of years ago, not so much last year, and we've got a calendar laid out, but we'll adjust as we go. If something's working, we'll do more of it. If something's not working, we'll adjust on the fly and go from there. So to all the people that filled out the survey, thank you, because it was actually very, very helpful for the rec committee to understand, how on point are we and what adjustments do we need to make.
And today pickleball started, the clinics.
I didn't get over there.
It did.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I did.
All right. Yes, sir.
If you go to the mic, we are.
Which pickleball?
Jay Coane, Fieldstone Lane.
Thank you.
Tom, can you provide a little bit more color on equity and fairness? I don't really understand what that means, because basically you go on, it's first come, first serve to get in that sign up for whatever clinic it is. Obviously, I'm more concerned about pickleball or more interested, but I don't really understand fairer signups.
So it's a good question, and it's quite frankly, it is a very strong parallel to what happens at the golf course with tee times. It's all online. right? So there is a start time and first come, first serve once you get to the start time. And the feedback we got, which is fair feedback, a lot of people are grabbing some of the clinics. It's because they make it a bigger priority. They wake up, they get online and they make the reservation before other people do. And we don't know how to manage that, because if we're saying 2 clinics a week, and it's important enough that they're getting up at, the startup, I think is 7 a.m. They're getting up at 7 o'clock and they're getting there first. They shouldn't be penalized for that. So again, I think we have to sort out, I think people are going to have to get comfortable with what does it take to get clinics, how important is it, and how do we go about doing it. The one thing we did talk about was there probably could be better communication in advance of what clinics are offered when, meaning Catherine is sending out, and we want to make it more clear to people, here's exactly when you could sign up for clinics. So next Tuesday, when does that open? So people will know if you want Tuesday. So I know there's been some communication, Scott. I think we probably, now that we're into the season, we probably need to send something out that's a little bit more clear with regards to exactly what the scheduled clinics are, and then when each one will open up, and write down specifically to Tuesday morning will be open the Tuesday before at 7 a.m. So if you want to get in that clinic, and it's important, you should probably be getting up and doing it.
Linda Hill again. You had 160 people that responded to your pickleball survey.
Mhm.
And the pickleball clinics have 4 people in them. And well, 3 or 4, depending on what kind.
Yeah, typically 4. Yeah.
And 160 people all want to, now, that doesn't mean there aren't a lot more people that would like to have clinics but didn't fill out the survey. I sometimes wonder if 2 clinics a week is more than they need. I think, wouldn't 1 clinic a week be just fine? So that we could allow people I don't know how much that means you can have in a week of clinics. Do you understand? I don't know how many clinics.
So this year we offer, they're 45-minute clinics,
They're like-
2 every time slot, and we opened up 5 time slots this year, correct?
So 5 times, so.
So it'd be 20 people a day we can fit into clinics,
That's
100 people a week. Yeah.
But there are 160 people that were concerned enough to respond to the survey. I'm just wondering if you should think about being more restrictive to start and see how that works.
And that's a very good question, very fair point. So we've talked about that, and quite frankly, what we also talked about is if clinics are open and someone's already taken 2, when can they sign up for the 3rd? So for example, 24 hours in advance if it's still open. And so that's something we're going to learn through as we go through it. What we really don't know with this year is what the $8 fee is going. Is that going to change it a lot? People were all over the free clinics, that we know. Yeah. 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 Okay. Yep.
Pretty disappointing. And I know you were supposed to get up early and all that, but that's.
I understand. I understand. And also, we'll be watching it, and if it's a problem, feel free to email me, whether it's myself, whether it's Catherine or Scott, or Denise Haller is the rec committee chairperson, and let us know, because that's really the best way we get the feedback on how it's going. We dig into it ourselves, but the more feedback we hear, the more we can respond to it.
Just understand the numbers. You said there'll be 2 slots,
4
2
slots.
clinics for each time period?
No. Two clinic, meaning our time slots, you reserve a court for an hour and a half in the morning. They're 45-minute clinics. So there'll be an 8 o'clock and 8:45, a 9:30, 10:15 we take off so they can get a break. Then we do 11:30 and 12:15.
So just 1 court is
11.
devoted to clinic?
One court,
Oh,
one
okay.
court is devoted, correct. And then they will do private lessons afterwards, but that's after 12:30 when the courts open up. And a much different fee. You're not going to get it for $8. Just heads up. Any comments, questions?
Great. Thank you, Tom, for providing the color commentary of the survey. All right. Next, we have discussion of proposed lake rules updates. Eventually, at the end of this, the board will be deciding to approve or not Mark, did you want to lead the discussion or you want me to go through the highlights?
I'll go ahead and do it. We're pleased to
Mark,
present,
turn on your microphone.
we're pleased to
Oh, there you go.
present the revised lake rules. It was really an effort to streamline and organize the hodgepodge of rules that we inherited from Pulte. And, the major changes are things like we removed reference to the swim area and we eliminated the swim area here a couple of years ago. So I want to thank Peter Reitz, who spearheaded this, and Tom Schoback, Mark Pudov, Jody Ressler Tatro, and the rest of the Lake Committee for putting this together. I'm wondering if we have any questions about the lake rules.
Maybe, Mark, we might put a motion forward that we're,
I will do so.
All right.
I move that we approve the lake rule, the revised lake rules presented here today.
great, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jerry seconds. And then discussion from the board. I know that there's been some emails. Discussion from the community. Mark, anything online?
And just I'll add a little color commentary to this as well. And many thanks to Mark and the team. This started with, we looked at the lake rules and there's about 9 or 10 pages, the original version, and they were just a mess, meaning if you want to know how to use your dock, you had to look in 5 different places and stuff like that. Peter, I know you're heavily involved in this as well. And so very good job of organizing it. Now, if you want to understand how to use a boat, how to use a dock, or any of the rules, they're much easier to find. And then there were some subtle adjustments. There weren't major changes. There were certainly some changes. I think a lot of them are listed up there, to what the rules were themselves, and really just cleaning up a lot of the discussions and probably even some, I don't know if there were ever board motions on this, but we were making some adjustments as we went. That is now in a much more, it was always comprehensive. It's a much more clean and organized document that if you go online and you look at it, you'll be able to understand what's permissible, what's not permissible, what the priorities are, and how we're going to treat things going forward. So excellent job by the team, really.
And Peter knows I'm going to just bring this up. I did have an initial concern over the age to drive a watercraft, but Peter made such perfect common sense that I'm comfortable with what's in the language for all of the reasons that he proposed. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the language is you have to be 14 to drive a watercraft, and a watercraft is defined in the rules as a motor-powered boat. And Peter has extensive experience in rules, in litigation, common sense, and he helped me understand and reminded me that you only have to be 14 to drive a golf cart in this community. You only have to be 14 to drive a personal watercraft. That's a state law. And Peter helped me understand that those personal watercrafts go much faster. They have the potential to be much more dangerous. They turn much more quickly, and a whole host of other things. So based on sort of our back and forth discussions, I'm convinced 14's okay. Did I cover everything, Peter? There you go.
Right. Any other comments from the board or questions?
Who's Peter?
Right here.
Peter Reitz.
Peter is the gentleman in the white shirt up here. Peter Reitz is also our Lakes chairman and has really, Peter Reitz.
Reitz.
Yeah. And again, many thanks go out to Peter for all the work that he's
There'll
done.
be more from him in a minute.
You should.
I've got it taken care of. Nothing to worry about.
Cheers, huh?
No, it's okay, Mark. I got it. Any other questions about, okay, moving on. Seeing no other questions, all those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to talk about
No,
the
it's the-
kayaks here.
I do.
Since the incident that occurred here on May 24th, we've gone back and forth trying to figure out how to control access to the kayaks and, and properly utilize waivers. We've really determined that we really don't have a good way to put this in place. And the Lake Committee have voted unanimously to recommend that the quarry no longer offer this as an amenity. Now, the Lake Committee really supports the utilization of our lakes here, whether that be for tow sports, fishing, kayaking, paddleboarding, or windsurfing. This year, we're going to add a boat parade. Those don't offer anywhere near the kind of risk that making these kayaks and paddleboards available without proper control do. Also, the individual ownership and use of any of these items don't present the same kind of liability to the community. I'm going to ask Peter Reitz to stand up and to speak a little bit about the potential liability that the kayaks and paddleboards present to the community.
Thanks, Mark. Let me give you two hypotheticals. The first hypothetical would be somebody coming here and trespassing and grabbing a stand-up paddleboard. We know we have a history of Rick Fingerette getting chewed up by an alligator. And this particular trespasser goes out on the paddleboard and gets bit by an alligator. That family is going to sue because this community with all the lakes that we have is an attractive nuisance in the eyes of the law. And there are going to be all kinds of claims by plaintiffs' counsel as to what we could have done to have prevented access. One would be not having the stand-up paddleboard available on a rack where somebody can grab it. Now, I know we've talked about locking them. That moves me to the next point, which would be waivers. Florida is one of the two best states in the country with liability waivers. They're binding and enforceable with adults, and they're binding and enforceable with minors if they're signed by a parent or legal guardian. But we have no way of knowing who's going out on those kayaks and acquiring a release, a signed waiver, if you will, especially with a guest that's staying with a family whose parents aren't even here on site. So there's just no way, unless you had a kiosk with a full-time person there getting waivers signed and insisting on a parent signing on behalf of the minor child, there's just no way to protect the community. Secondly, we also had the occurrence that you alluded to, Mark, where somebody didn't have a PFD on and they were on a kayak and they went into the water and they had to be rescued. So we're on notice about that already. So now if we had a guest of a homeowner that gets out on a kayak and doesn't have a PFD or even has a PFD and flips the kayak and can't right that kayak, which can be difficult, and drowns, we're going to have all kinds of exposure. And the plaintiff's counsel is going to name everyone. They're going to name Heritage Bay, HBCDD. They're going to name the Umbrella Association. They're going to name the QCA. They're going to name this board. They could even name First Residential because Mark and Scott could have done more in advising our community. They're going to name everybody to trigger as many insurance companies or insurance policies as they can. They're also going to claim punitive damages because we had a prior occurrence. Punitive damages under Florida law are not insurable. And punitive damages can be a multiple of compensatory damages. So if we had a catastrophic injury or, God forbid, a fatality, we're going to be exposed and we're all going to be digging into our pockets. And that's why the Lake Committee recommended to this board that you don't allow this as an amenity. We have no way to put the controls in place to make it prudent.
So Peter, under punitive damages, individuals at the community could be forced to cough up money for any settlement.
Well, unless you have money coming from some other bucket, Mark, that's the only place it can come.
Okay, I just want to make that clear. Just want to make that clear.
I'm Ken Watterson, and I am standing up. One incident on that kayak. And now whomever, you want to tell the captains of industry what we can do. If we want to drown, let us drown. If we want to get bitten by an alligator, get us bitten by an alligator. He's the attorney. Get the insurance. to cover all this stuff. They can sue you for anything, anytime, anywhere. And he well knows that. One incident. How about the guy that ran his car into the light post? Should we get rid of the light posts? One incident. And you know who the kid is. And you know why it happened. Leave us alone. Let's drown yourself if we want to.
I believe it's a different situation whether someone can access a kayak or a paddleboard that's owned by the community. Well, you can use your own kayak how you see fit.
If I, let me address that. Let me at least address that comment because that exact discussion did take place. And I will just say and Scott knows this and Peter knows this and Mark knows this. I was not quite as passionate as you were about this, but I was certainly in the camp of wanting to have community paddleboards and kayaks. And after extensive discussions with the three and Peter's eloquent words, they've convinced me there's enough of a concern there. And the resolution that we have to this is that, number one, a lot of people have their own kayaks and paddleboards. Number two, we are going to find space, public space. We're going to look for public space for people to store their paddleboards out in that area. So that rather than having open community boards that anybody could take, and to Peter's concerns and very fair warnings that the community becomes liable for them, if it's important to people to paddleboard, we will find some space that they can store their paddleboards here. They can come and they can use them, and now they're personal paddleboards, and now it relieves the community of the liability. Like I said, I was sort of in that camp without that level of passion, and I'm actually very comfortable and satisfied that we're getting to a very good resolution because it will, I'm a huge believer in the lakes. People have heard me say this before. I want people out there using these things. And I think that this is a very comfortable place for us to end up, is just make it easier for people to use their own versus putting the community in position of being accountable for it. That's all. Understood. Understood. Yes. Mhm.
That's my point. Let's not have that.
So should we, I think there needs to be a motion on this.
Yeah, we made the motion, or did we not? Or no? Mark, did you make a motion?
Not
first?
yet, but I just want to say I have paddle boards and I plan on continuing to use them. But I think that this is a legitimate concern for the community, and I move that we sell the paddle boards and the kayaks and no longer offer them to the community.
Do I hear a second?
I second it.
John seconds. Further discussion on the board?
The only thing I would say, Ken, is, the board is committed to having people use kayaks on the lake. I mean, we made the investment. We have a kayak launch down there for people to use at the community docks. So I think to what Tom was saying about, having the ability to store your own personal kayak or paddleboard there, and all you need to do is show up with your oar, I think you'll be good to go.
Now, the board did not have a discussion about banning kayaks and paddle.
No, it's not about banning them. It's
No,
just about
No.
the association owning them and making them available for owners' use. So that's just the big difference in terms of the risk to the association.
Board HOA did not consider banning all kayaks and paddleboards.
We did not.
We did not.
No, that never came up. That never came up.
I would be absolutely opposed to that.
I think we all would.
Absolutely opposed.
I think we all would.
I've done both of those in the lake here.
I've done neither, but I love seeing them out the backyard.
Well, and the other reality is that the community paddle boards and kayaks were rarely used.
Right.
Rarely used.
Yes, since the incident, no one has requested their use.
Right.
They never,
That's 5 months.
Yeah, never.
5
they're
months.
never
I
used.
think we scared them. Okay.
So
So further discussion on this? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor? So the, at
We'll
this
go-
time, we're in the middle of a vote, sir. 1 second. I believe it was unanimous. Is that correct? All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion carries. There's a question from the floor, sir. Approach the microphone. Thank you.
My name is Daryl Hay. I live on Fieldstone Lane, and I'm not aware of the incident. Never heard of it.
Well, I can describe it to you. Back on, I believe it was May 24th, an individual, a minor that lived in the quarry, invited 2 friends into the community, and they took out 2 kayaks. They did not have life preservers. One of them flipped over a kayak, was unable to reboard the kayak, floated around there for a period of time. Emergency personnel was called. I think we had 6 or 8 vehicles here. Ultimately, a resident, Fred Nero, was cruising through the lake and he went and rescued them. But the individual didn't follow any of the regulations in the community, and there could have been a drowning here. The individual was previously rescued at a previous time, warned in a previous incident as well.
All right. Next in your packet, you have vote to approve fish structure. This was tabled from a previous meeting. This will be tabled again at this meeting and moved to the agenda for the next meeting. And now we have Renee will do a review of landscaping donations.
Scott, I just want to make one point with regards to the Lakes Committee and the fishing.
Yeah.
And this is just a general comment and to some extent a request. There's been a lot of discussion and feedback regarding maintenance of the lakes, use of the lakes, the fishability of the lakes, and very specifically, one of my address is the weeds in the lake. And alls I would just ask, Mark, building on the success of the tennis and pickleball survey, I would love to see a lakes and fishing survey. And I would love to really make it a comprehensive survey of people who use the lakes, how they use the lakes, what they think are the strong points and what they think the opportunities are. I'd like to create some data around people's frustrations, which we hear very strongly, but individually and sporadically. So just in a format that we can get to how many people use the lakes and what context do they use the lakes? Are they using it for pontoon cocktail rides? Are they using it for skiing? Are they using it for fishing? Are they fishing off of boats? Are they fishing off of land? And really get a good understanding of this. For everyone's benefit, we think there's much more opportunity with these lakes than we're using right now. And certainly there's a level of frustration with the conditions of the lakes, both aesthetically and functionally. And I think this would be really good information to have that we can then go and discuss with the CDD and see maybe we can make some progress to alleviate some of these frustrations. I happened to get an earful this morning. I was going to bring this up anyway, but it was very timely that I got an earful this morning about somebody complaining about the weed condition, and it's just overwhelming at this point.
Well, I think that's a great idea, Tom, and we're going to have a lake committee meeting next week, and we'll start the discussion on that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Renee, the floor is yours.
Okay, I just wanted to remind everybody, or those of you who may not know, back in the fall of 2022, the Landscape Committee came up with an idea of having a donation program. And what that is that if you have plants within your yard that you want to have removed that can potentially be donated to the quarry, we'd like to review them and see if they are plantable and put them somewhere within the quarry in one of the common spaces. This program, since we rolled it out, has become very, very successful. We're probably saving on average $15,000 a year of quarry spending just based on donations. So if you weren't aware of it, I just wanted to bring this back up, especially since everybody's coming back. It's a very simple process. All you do is you key in a work order and you indicate that you're looking to donate some plants. Vision will come and set up an appointment with you. They'll review what plants you're looking to donate and see if they're viable to be donated and transplanted. Not everything can be transplanted. Certain things will transplant very easily, some will not, but they'll give you an indication right then and there. And they'll bring it to our attention, they'll give us a quote, and if in fact the landscaping committee approves it, and what we do is we pay for the removal for those plants for you. So just keep that in mind. There are things like bromeliads that multiply like crazy, agaves, and there could be other things. We're not going to take a 20-foot palm because it doesn't pay to transplant something like that. But if you do have things in your yard that you're looking to have removed, please fill out a work order and we'll take a look at it. Just wanted to bring that up again and remind you. Any questions?
Great. Yes, I have a question. Yeah.
Jay Cohen, Fieldstone Lane. Renee, I just have a question. I think it looks great. We used to do flowers at the median, ends of medians, and I notice now that we have those succulents instead.
Mhm.
And I was just wondering, I mean, it's fine. Hopefully we're saving money, Jerry. But is that a change in maybe how we're maintaining the medians in that respect?
Thank you for that question. So our friend Fred here, who is on the landscaping committee, we affectionately call him the agave bandit. He's been taking agaves, pups from all over the place and putting them in each of the end caps. We are still, in fact, this week, our annuals are going to get planted. Each one of the end caps of the medians will be planted with annuals. Again, we do it twice a year. They'll be going in this week, the new planting. But the idea of that is over time, those agaves will get larger and we'll be spending less money on the actual annuals. There's no actual plan to get rid of the annuals because people really enjoy them and we get great feedback. Does that answer your question? Okay. Anything else?
All right. At this point, thank you, Renee, for that. Now we're going to have Mark, our community manager, come up and give a presentation. He's going to run the Zoom. He's going to do a presentation. Doing it all today.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind you guys, I know you guys might have seen the email I sent out earlier today, as well as one last week, that we do have the boats and the decals for your boats are ready for you to be picked up. Just remember, when you bring in the application, just make sure you fill out the information the best you possibly can. Again, mainly are you talking about is it a golf cart or is it a low-speed vehicle? Just mark that, whichever it might be. Your name, your contact information, the type of policy you have, your policy number, as well as the company it comes from. And as you fill out this form, make sure you sign the back here. And if you could also bring in a copy of your driver's license, proof of insurance, certificate of registration, and a picture of the actual golf cart as well. So if you can bring those in, then we also have the 2026 golf cart decals for you. As for the boat decals, they'll be ready on November 15th. And the boat decals, the agreement's very similar, filling out the contact information that you have here. If you're renting a boat slip, or if you have a boat or a trailer slip, a trailer space, if you can mark that, put your contact information here. Again, when it comes to insurance, that's the main part of it, is your insurance. I've had a few homeowners come to me and share, well, my insurance is going to be re-upped in March. Should I wait till then? Just bring in your current insurance. So it's a proof of, like a driver's license. You might have to re-up your driver's license in a few months as well. Just bring in your current driver's license and your current insurance. And that would be acceptable for this as well. And then again, just make sure you make your way down here to the final page here, sign off on here, and we're good to go. And then we'll get you your 2026 decals on your trailers and your boats as well. And again, the deadline to obtain those decals is February 1st. So if you go beyond February 1st, there will be a $50 charge for either the decals, whether it be for the boat or for the golf carts, if anybody understands that, as well as the trailers. The next area I was
Excuse me,
asking.
Mark.
Uh-huh.
Quick question about the boat slips or trailer parking. Are there slips available in the community?
There are slips available right now, which is very nice. It was perfect timing when I sent an email out to anyone who's renting them, asking if they want to re-up it. And I received several that said, you know what, I'm not going to re-up it for 2026. So several of them opened up. I do have talking about wait lists. We do have a wait list for the different areas. And I did send emails out to those homeowners asking, the first few that are on the list, are you interested? Would you like to rent the space here today? But if they respond back saying they're not interested, then I will continue going down that list. And if anybody's interested in whether renting either a slip or a spot you can store your trailer. There's also another spot to store your trailer with your boat on it. And that's a locked area as well. So we do have those openings right now.
Thank you, Mark.
Hey, Mark, one other question. Maybe provide information, golf club members that already get stickered at the golf club.
That's an interesting point. Yes. If you have a golf cart, you can get it registered at the golf club. If you get registered there, we'll see the sticker. And then what that does is it just lets everybody in the community know who owns that golf cart. Because we have the ability to then, if we see our golf cart somewhere, then if you do that, then you do not need a decal from our association. Now, if we do have that, let's say it's parked somewhere and we need to get it moved somehow one way or another, I can then contact the golf club, ask them who's registered to that number, and I can get a hold of the owner that way as well. Thank you. That's a great question. The other area I was asked to talk about was the modifications. We received a huge push here recently. Everybody wants to get their projects started as they're coming into season. Can we get this started? Can we get this started? So I'm just gonna kind of walk everybody through it just a little bit. I also notice this sometimes gets a little intimidating for people because I've had homeowners come in and say just generally like, what do I even do? What needs to be done? A good place to start, and it's on the website, is it's called the Architectural Design Standards. And it's a good place to start. It's 19 pages, and it really touches bases on, just like an outline, touches bases on just about anything you might want to do for your property, any kind of modification you might want to do, whether it's a roof, whether it's adding a dock, whether it's painting, whatever it might be. Gives a nice general outline of what you need. Lets you know about lighting. Some lighting requires applications, some do not. So it kind of gives you a nice outline of everything that you need to do. So always make sure you go back to these ADS. What the committee does, once I receive the application, I then send it, I review it, make sure it's complete, then I send it to the committee. Well, a lot of times I can't send it to the committee because it's not complete, because requirements are required and they spell them out here. There's a few other areas to think about when you're doing these projects. Like it's a modification application for your smaller projects. Again, your name, contact information here. Everybody gets that right. That part's easy. When you start getting down here, you want to get as detailed as you can. You want to be detailed, let them know exactly what you like to do. One area, if you like to paint your house, all they ask is, well, you stick to their paint colors, but you can't paint your house. Let's say if your next door neighbor has the same color onto your right or to your left. So a lot of times what's missed is somebody will say, oh, I want this paint project number 18. I'll do the scheme 18. But then they missed to put their initials here. By putting your initials here, you're sharing with everybody. You're sharing with the committee that your neighbor to the right or to the left does not have the same color of their body of their house. We just don't want 3 gray houses in a row or anything such as that. So fill out to the best of your ability. Estimated start date, what you have here. When it comes to the scope, try to clarify what you're looking at doing. Again, applications fill themselves out. It's understood. But when you start talking about the scope of work, kind of get as detailed as you can. It's very helpful for the committee and actually moves the process along quicker. I have a lot of people ask, most everyone asks, how long does it take? My response is, well, it usually takes, maybe 3 to 5 business days if it's complete. So fill out the scope of work, complete everything you can. Another area that are missed a lot is on page 2 here. There are 2 areas for initials. which is really nice because what they changed a few years ago is we no longer need proofs of certification of the insurance of your vendor. Matter of fact, you might want to paint your house yourself, or you might want to do the project yourself. So by having these initialed, we don't need certifications. We don't need proof of insurance. We don't need anything from your vendor. All it shares is you're going to hold the association harmless, and you're not going to damage our common areas, if that makes any sense. And then the back page here, obviously sign it here and date it there. We also ask along with these, and then this one's for a little larger projects. This one's the construction of pool application. Again, it's a little bit different format. Fill out your contact information up here. I'll fill out the rest. This first page, we'll take care of the first page. But then here on the third page is when it talks about the scope of work. So that's when you go back to explain your scope of work. Now, these larger ones, like a pool or an addition on your house or something such as that, again, you also have the initials here, but it's going to ask for a lot more information. So, and again, sign it here. The information they're going to be asking for, almost every application, they love to see pictures. I want to put in a screen cage with a pool, and here's a picture of my current backyard. That's very helpful. So pictures with almost any project. Even I want to paint my house a gray color. Here's a picture of my house right now. Or I want to put a tree in this spot on my property. Adding a picture goes a long way, helps out the committee, helps me where I don't have to chase it down. I jump on Zillow quite often, and we'll pull up a picture, or I drive by the house. I take a picture of your house, whether anybody knows it or not. And I actually add the picture a lot of times to the application. If you add it to it, it helps out the process move much quicker. Also, they're asking for is, if you're gonna do anything outside of the frame of the house. What I mean by that is, if you're gonna paint the house is one thing. If you're even gonna change the cage that's already there, that's fine. But if you're gonna expand the cage, or you're gonna add a cage or do an addition, you're gonna need to provide a site plan. And that logically makes sense because we're gonna wanna know where the easements are, where the property lines are. We don't want somebody to say, I'm gonna put a tree in 20 feet from my house, and then realize, well, that's your neighbor's property. So we wanna have a site plan. They asked for two. The one they asked for a blank one by itself, and then a second one with the drawings in it. And the drawings will show exactly where you're gonna put this, whether it's gonna be a pool or a screen cage, wherever it might be. So a site plan for that. Also, when it comes to generators or anything next to the house, whether it's a AC, mini AC, AC split, or a generator in a propane tank combination, we're gonna know exactly where you're gonna have those items as well. So a site plan will be on that. If you're gonna do a walkway around the side of your house, we want a site plan for that. And you can kind of understand why. Anything outside of the structure of the house, we want a site plan just to make certain we're clear what you're gonna do and make it clear as to it's not gonna be on the neighbor's property. When it comes to these larger, also when it has anything beyond the frame of the house, we're gonna need a letter. Now, sometimes I'll help you get that letter, but it's a irrigation rerouting letter. And that one makes sense as well. If you're gonna put up a screen cage in your backyard, you have irrigation lines back there. You are not permitted to cut those off by yourself. You're not permitted to have your vendor do it. It has to be through Vision Landscape. We spoke about that about a year ago, why we need Vision Landscape to do that. If a homeowner comes in, they cut theirs, just keep in mind, it's not just your property, it's part of a system. So you, by doing any change to the irrigation system on your own property, you might be affecting your entire street. So we want Vision Landscape to take care of that portion of it. And then if the application becomes a little overwhelming, like, all right, I would like to do this. I would like to add a second story on top of my garage. Can I do that? You can request to come in for a pre-construction meeting with the committee. That's very, very helpful. I would suggest bringing in all your plans with you. I would suggest bringing your vendor with you. There's a lot of times where the committee's like, wait, you're going to do what? You're going to put in a pool, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to put an outdoor kitchen, wherever it might be. The committee's seen a lot of these, and they are stunning. I don't know if you guys seen any of your neighbors who just extended the pool or put in a pool, but put in an outdoor kitchen. They're absolutely stunning. So they can provide some information. Why don't you go to this person's house and check out what they have? They can give you some ideas, which is extremely helpful. Beyond that, they can say, you know what, you can't really do that. So that one's not necessary, but you could do this instead. And that's also very helpful. I've been there many times where they have the meeting taking place, and with the vendor there to answer some questions, they'll say, well, then just put that in writing, and the information you currently have, we'll approve you right here on the spot. So that's very helpful. So you can always let you guys know you can have that. So there's some damage deposits that are required. Like it's $1,000 deposit when you're gonna put in a generator or a propane tank, for a driveway extension or a patio extension, or a roof or a solar panel. So there's a $1,000 damage deposit, $2,000 damage deposit if you're gonna put in a dock or a dock lift. And there's a 10,000 damage deposit if you're gonna put in any rebuilds or any additions on your property, or lanai extensions, or garage additions or a pool. So there's different criteria there when it comes to damage deposits. So also keep in mind, those damage deposits are being held until the project is complete. I go and inspect it, make sure everything's proper. Like if there's a lanai extension, there's landscaping required around the edge. If you're gonna put in a generator and a propane tank, there's required landscaping to go around it to cover them. There's always required landscaping to cover the material. So once that's complete, then we'd see about getting your deposit back. And that's the project I wanted to share with you guys. And as we shared last year, there is a $500 after the fact, that if you do a project first, you say, oh yeah, I guess I should have told you guys I'm putting in a pool. It's a $5,000 after the fact fee that will come along with that.
500.
And then
You said 5,000.
I pushed for $5,000, but $500 after the fact fee. And that's just, again, what they really want is just to have everything organized, everything planned. So then if somebody is from out of state and they're curious what was done to this house, we can then say, here's what the house is, but since the person's lived here, here's 4 of the projects they've done. So it helps out with the resale as well. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Mark. That was awesome.
Nice.
Thank you.
Go. A lot of stuff going on there. Thank you. All right, just a quick update, community services, power washing vendor, Rolling Suds is complete. And reminder, they did the sidewalks this year, curbs and gutters they did not do. Mulch is complete. We've had a lot of good comments about the mulch company this year. And then as we mentioned, Jay, to your point, annuals will be installed in the common areas this week going forward. That brings up committee initiatives and updates. Let's start, roll down the list. Finance, you're good? No, not good.
No, we're good. As a matter of fact, we're so good. We're so good. We didn't meet this month for the first time. So we gave everyone a vacation.
Maybe that's why it was so good.
For, what he said.
That's why it was so good.
As far as insurance, it's that time of year. We had our meeting last week to kick off the renewal process. So we're proceeding with that. We never find out what the renewal will cost us till probably mid-January, unfortunately. Compensation committee, we haven't had any additional meetings yet, Scott.
Great. Next we have strat planning.
Strat planning?
That's Mark.
Okay, strategic planning, we're meeting next week and we are going to discuss how we're going to proceed to develop a vision for the community.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Asset management.
Yes, as board liaison, I assure you that your assets are being managed carefully and appropriately. We actually just had a meeting, seriously, we had a meeting this afternoon. And first of all, I want to commend as board liaison, Scott and his team, especially Eddie Hernandez, for an incredible job. We have taken our 6 members and we have assigned them different parts of the campus. They review it on a physically review it on a regular basis. We create a list of possible to-do items, present them to Scott, and by the next meeting, they are done. So it's been an incredible experience. I suggest, we do walk this campus a lot, but you also do. So if you see something that you think we've overlooked, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can go into the online and do a service request and point out what you've seen, or is that right?
Yes.
You like that? Okay. Or easier, just text me. Okay. Say, I noticed something on my walk, kind of looks a little funny. Can you check it out? Okay. Pam Wright, Turok@gmail.
Thank you, Pam. I appreciate that. Next, we have recreation.
I'm going to give with the tennis and pickle survey.
Okay. Before we do modifications, Jody, I'm sorry about my comment earlier. I beg forgiveness. You have lots of friends, and I obviously misspoke.
Keep going.
I'm really sorry. So with that, modifications, Jody.
I don't have any updates except to say two things. One, Mark Putoff does an absolute amazing job supporting that committee. You know, you have no idea. I mean, he literally does drive arounds. He goes out and he approves that the work that's been requested to be done is done in accordance with what was approved. You heard him say he takes pictures to help expedite the process for homeowners. I mean, this is day in and day out. The committee meets every month. If you're not sure when they meet, it is listed on the governance calendar, which is listed on the My Quarry Home uh, website, and it's just very helpful if you want to know when they're going to meet, so you might have a sense of when you want to get your application in. But they typically, for things that are painting the exterior of your home, they typically will review those online to really expedite the process. The only time there's an issue is when something comes in, the process has been that if one of the 5 members has a concern about something that they're seeing, even if the others feel comfortable with it, the decisions are that they'll at least discuss that at the meeting. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Jody. I appreciate that. Next we have Mark Lakes.
Well, we're meeting next week as well, and we will be beginning a discussion on a survey, I believe.
Sounds like it. John, Ownership Experience Committee, or Owners Experience Committee, sorry.
The OAC did a couple of things this summer with Sundays and wedding large events, but we've got lots of other initiatives we've been working on. We're involved in the food and beverage quite heavily with Scott's team, both providing feedback and, support of that team, pointing the way, looking for things that we see and want to see, new ideas. We also have access control. We're meeting on that. We are in the process of doing another re-review of our perimeter. We know we had some issues last summer with some kids trespassing. We're going to try to have it ready. It really is only an issue in the summer when they're out of school. So we're going to do a re-review before next summer and try to shore up some areas. We have a new subcommittee within our committee. We had this idea about new homeowners coming in. And although I think we did a pretty good job sort of getting them in and showing them the basic stuff, here's how you get, signed up for this, and here's how to use the different devices and stuff, but not really how to get to know the community and make friends and really engage in the community. So we put together a subcommittee, and they have promptly renamed themselves, and it's the Newcomer Navigation Subcommittee. And the newcomer I sort of got, but then this navigator, it's a new idea, but it's really a good idea because what they're trying to do is have someone that can be that person to go to. And I really do think they're working through a lot of the ideas from building a group of navigators, people that can represent the community and talk to new owners. I have a friend that lived in a different community and came here, and I sort of was that person with them. And it's just surprising. Well, I want to play euchre. What do I do? How do I do this? I mean, they knew how to get their stickers and that stuff, but all the other stuff to make friends and find out what they can do, we felt was a real gap. And this committee's really taken it on. I think they're doing a great job. They're talking about having a spring and fall mingle for new owners so they can meet other new owners. A lot of that stuff really did take place when this community was new because we were all moving in at the same time 10, 12 years ago. But now, it's 50 new and they don't get the same support. So this committee's got some really good ideas. More to come, should be coming out shortly. The other thing we're working on is fiber in the community. We have a subcommittee for everything. Fiber is one of them. But as you all know, we're in a long-term bulk agreement with Comcast, Xfinity. Ends in 29. We're trying to find what we can and can't do. We're making progress on it. We've also gone out and talked to third-party providers. In that, both Comcast will be considered, but others to see what we can get. One of the things we're finding out is we're paying a lot for Comcast, and we think we can do way better potentially with a different provider. We also know the speeds will go up better than we're seeing today. with these other providers. The other thing is, I came out of a technical background in real estate. We have one path in, and if you don't notice, some days your Comcast isn't very good, and some days it's down altogether. These guys are talking about putting in redundant wires into the community, two-sided, so if we get cut on Immokalee, that we get picked up on the other end of the community off of Collier. So we think we can really improve the service in the community. We'll find out. We're working through it. This could be soon, or it could be 29. We don't know yet. We're working on it.
John, one quick question. When you say we're paying a lot for Comcast, we meaning the QCA and our
No,
public
owners.
or all homeowners?
Well, we are too.
Okay, so do you think you're going to be able to offer some benefit to my cable rate?
You're absolutely right.
Okay. I'm in.
How will you reconcile that with homeowners who have a dish?
I think we'll have the ability to be flexible.
Okay.
I think that most of these, they're looking for a percentage.
Okay.
We can get them a percentage. We know we got the percentage with Comcast. We think most of them will go with the better provider. There'll be a better provider, I think. Don't know who yet.
All right, thank you, John, for that. Next, we have the Eco Committee. Renee?
Okay, the Eco Committee had a meeting last week. Unfortunately, I wasn't here for it. I was out of town, but some great things going on there. As you all know, they implemented the tennis ball recycling program. To date, we just got an update last week. We've recycled 15,800 tennis balls. Yeah, 1,000 so far this year. So that's pretty incredible. That's great work. Also, we just implemented this past year the pickleball recycling. We just sent in our first 100 pickleballs. And actually, I got a nice one of the Nancy Patrick on the committee did a nice little write up here. Anybody have any idea how many pickleballs are used annually in the United States? This is crazy. 500 million.
100 million?
Million.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah. So with the pickleball, we partnered with P3 Cares. They've sent us boxes. If you're a pickleball player, they're right outside the pickleball courts. And if you could place your balls there so they don't go into landfill, they repurpose them into zip ties and all kinds of different things. So it's a really wonderful program, and it's great that they're not going into the landfill anymore. Just another reminder, the textile recycling is outside the maintenance shed. You can put in any of your old towels, sheets, clothes, what have you. We actually make money on that, and that helps pay for the shipping of the tennis balls and the pickleballs. So it's like a nice full circle there. So if you have anything there. Outside of Scott's office is the plastic bag recycling. These are like Publix bags, Walmart bags. The Eco Committee started knitting them into mats for the homeless. We kind of took a hiatus in the summer, so we're going to start getting that back going. So if you have any of your Publix bags, Walmart bags, just the grocery type bags, not any plastic, just your grocery type bags, please put them in there. This has to be confirmed with Collier County, but at this point, they're targeting January 14th for a recycling event for electronics. And also, they've connected with the Lions Club of Naples, and they will also be collecting eyeglasses, sunglasses, and hearing aids to be recycled. So they're hoping to have that on the 14th. And then they're targeting January 25th for the battery and styrofoam recycling. So they're kicking it up, kicking it up a notch.
Good.
I did have something for landscaping.
And-
Any questions on any of
No, but next we have landscaping.
that? So with landscaping, I talked a bit about the donation thing, just a couple other things I wanted to mention. I hope you're all familiar with the work order system, and please use it. That's the best way to get everything in. especially on a weekend. If we have a water main break or a problem with the irrigation, as soon as you key it into that system, they get it immediately, so they know immediately, and Scott gets it too, unfortunately, on the weekends. But it's a good way for us to get things moving along there instead of trying to call the office and no one's here. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is I know a number of people plant annuals in their beds as they're coming back. Vision does offer a grow-in program where they set up battery timers so that your annuals could be watered more frequently than maybe the entire irrigation in your yard goes in. It kind of isolates your area, your yard. There's a fee for it. It's $125, and it's a temporary grow-in program. But if it's something that you're interested in, you don't want to hand water or use a hose to give them the additional water they require, just key in a work order, they'll come out and they'll meet with you and they'll go over it with you. All right, that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Thanks for those reports. Those were great. Next, we're going to move on to any further questions or comments from the board? Comments from the audience?
Mike Cusick. I live on Cobalt Cove. We came back about 2 weeks ago and found that the house next door has 4 5-foot tall propane tanks installed roughly 10 feet away from the side of our house. And that was kind of our reaction to it. I always understood, I'm not exactly sure where I came up with it, but understood that propane tanks were allowed, but they were buried, that they weren't above ground. My understanding is that above ground tanks are now being approved. And it just seems to me that this is something, I wonder whether this should be a board decision, whether there should have been some discussion about this, if indeed this was a change. Because like I say, I'm working from the assumption that previously they were always buried. I understand my neighbor submitted an application. That isn't my concern. My concern is the fact that we now have 4 5-foot tall propane tanks 10 feet away from the side of our house. This is a part on Cobalt Cove where there's just not a lot of space between the houses. So to put in the screening is going to also then block access to the back of the house. There's not, if screening is put in next to the tanks, and the tanks were put in directly across from our pool equipment, there isn't any way to get to the back of the house, and it's going to impede any maintenance, the pool repair, the equipment, all of that is going to be extremely limited. The area right now is a muddy area. It's difficult for maintenance to take care of. Their ability to get maintenance equipment back there. My concern also is, are there potential accidents waiting to happen with all of the maintenance equipment with these propane tanks there? The ability for emergency personnel to get from the front of the house to the back of the house. We're going to wind up being limited to only being able to get to the back of our house from one side of the house. We won't if it's not screened, but if it's not screened, then what we're looking at is 4 5-foot tall above ground propane tanks. My question is really, is this something that the board is approving or should be approving? Is this something that should be being looked at the board level as opposed to at the modification level? Is this equipment safe from hurricanes, from lightning strikes, not just the tanks, but all of the connections, the wires. As anybody who lives in here knows, we seem to be the lightning capital of Southwest Florida. Every year when we come back, there's all sorts of things that don't work because there's been extreme lightning storms. And it's just something we assume. And, we're not there, our neighbors aren't there. So if there's a problem, is it just going to be a problem until somebody finally comes back and notices that there's been damage to these propane tanks or the equipment? I think, one of the other questions I have is this something that's being allowed in other communities in the surrounding area? Are they now allowing above ground propane tanks? And is this the look we want? I can give you my opinion, but I think the question stands: is this the look we're after, that we have above ground propane tanks? So I'm not looking for a direct answer at this point. This is what's there, and I don't know how the problem is resolved. So
I can comment on a couple of things. We will certainly, I will certainly bring this back to the modification committee at the next meeting. So we do take your concerns very seriously. I actually did a little bit of digging before this meeting, and I did learn that, Collier County does not allow homeowner associations to not permit generators because we live in Hurricane Alley. So generators clearly are allowed and must be allowed. So that's one issue. The way we have addressed everything as it relates to anything on the exterior of your home, like an air conditioner, a generator, your pool equipment, we require it, to your point, to be screened aesthetically. So for aesthetics, right? And the way that when I say we, the modification committee has determined that they want things to be screened is with landscaping as opposed to that PVC fencing, those types of things. I can't speak to your particular, neighborhood, but I do know that, as you said, the homes are very close together. I did look up some requirements by code, and buried tanks need to be at least 10 feet away from your home, and they have to be 10 feet from your property line. So in many instances here in the quarry, because if you're on a 55-foot lot or a 67-foot frontage lot, you just don't have the space between homes to put buried tanks in your side yard unless you're in a pie-shaped lot. So that creates another problem for people who want to bury a tank. So that really only leaves your front yard and your rear yard. So again, I can't speak to your neighbors, but I do know where you live that you have a lake maintenance easement in the back of your property. And again, you can't build into those lake maintenance easements. So depending upon, if they assume your cage is a structure and it needs to be 10 feet from your cage, you would be encroaching in a lake maintenance easement with an underground tank. Additionally, I know from another homeowner who he was dead set against putting in above ground propane tanks for his generator in his outdoor kitchen, but he wasn't able, the propane company didn't have a long enough hose to run to the rear of his lot. When he was open to using the front of his lot to bury the tank. But he found when they did call before you dig, he had all sorts of wires running through the front of his property, not just in the utility easement, which we all have in the fronts of our homes, which are anywhere from 10 to 15 feet, I believe, from the street, which is where most of our utilities wires run. But this particular homeowner had wires running, in his front yard that would have disrupted the other people on the street. So he had no other choice but to use the above-ground tanks, much to his dismay. And he agreed that he would landscape it. He even offered to build a stone stuccoed wall to cover it so that from a screening perspective, it wouldn't be considered unsightly, which is certainly a concern. So again, I can't speak to your neighbor's lot, but we can work with Mark and we'll bring this to the modification committee and, you know, see about if, unless there's rare exceptions, it's up to them to determine if they want to, I guess, prevent them going forward. I do know that there's a couple homes that have above ground propane tanks to heat their pool. And, you know, they're encased with landscaping, so they're not seen. But anytime anybody puts an above ground or an underground propane tank, it's got to be permitted by the county and inspected for all of the concerns that you raised in terms of safety relative to lightning strikes.
So even the above ground have to be?
Oh, yeah,
okay.
absolutely. They require permitting. And that's part of the checkoff that Mark does as well. When he takes the deposits for people putting in these types of equipment, you know, he makes sure that the permits have been approved and signed off before that money is handed back.
And I understand, well, I didn't understand it, but I think I understand it. But still, when you're in a situation where there isn't enough room to put it in, to install it, then how can it be approved? If you, you know, if there isn't enough room to be able to provide the barrier without completely cutting off access from the front of the house to the back of the house, then you're saying, well,
Well, remember, the county, the homeowner association cannot deny somebody the right to put in a generator.
I understand they could put in the generator, but
Generator goes with the,
But how do you heat, how
but
does
that's
it,
not
right?
my issue. I wind up with 4 gigantic propane tanks next to my house. Then find a different place to bury them or to put them. You know,
I mean, I don't
I'm
understand.
not
I don't
saying
know
that you can't have a generator. It's not my issue how you power the generator, but you can't say, well, you can have a generator, but we'll disregard this other rule so you can have a generator. I don't understand the logic of it.
Well, I don't know the particulars of this particular application to know if he encountered a similar issue that another homeowner did that was actually on that same street regarding the lines in front of their house. So that I don't know. But
So-
that's,
So then I still get stuck with the problem.
I mean, if you can't deny them a generator and they have to have a way to fuel it, right? It's on his property. I trust me, sir, I understand what you're saying.
And again, it's directly across from all of the pool equipment that we have there. And I don't know whether there could be a different place that I'm not here to try to figure out the answer to that. I'm just saying that I get stuck with the problem. And
At
you're
this
saying-
point, would it be helpful if we just looked into that particular, I think,
I said, well,
I think you have to give the board time to
yeah,
do the investigation, look into it, see if all the procedures were followed, if it's permitted, and if all of those rules were followed, then unfortunately, that might be the situation that any homeowner might have to live with. But give the board time to go and research it, and they'll get back to you.
All
But
right.
And Mike, one quick question. Is your issue more the aesthetics of it? Or is it something else?
It's the aesthetic. I mean, I don't want to look at, 4 giant
No, I understand, I
propane
understand.
tanks. And, I could move out into the country
Right.
but then you have the room for it, you have the property but it's that and the fact that if it's the aesthetics and to be able to put up the barrier, you're now going to create a barrier to get from the front of the house to the back. of
No,
the
no, I
house.
understand. And there's a reason I'm asking that question. So, and I think we have to, Jody's committed to looking into this, which I think is very fair. And I think the one question I would just ask of is to consider exceptions in the sense that I fully like the ruling of screenage, right? The aesthetics, putting something around it. I get exactly what you're talking about. We have a propane tank from our neighbor, and we've got a very, very narrow area right there. And maybe there are exceptions where a PVC fence or something that is visible from your house, but not from the street. Meaning if we could put landscaping, so the street view sees landscaping, but the side view maybe is a PVC fence so that you don't have to look at the tanks and you can still get stuff through there. Maybe that's a compromised position because I think we all appreciate where you're coming from.
Yeah,
I just don't think we have the answer right now. She's wonderful at these things.
Okay.
Turner committee look into this and hopefully we can come up with some reasonable compromise on maybe how to handle these things.
We're gonna sort of further thing. I mean, I think I've shared the photograph. I've got your place. I know what it looks like. And, you and I talked on the golf course about this a few days ago. I think we have multiple things. One is not only do we have a preferred methodology within our community and should we be stating that? In other words, if we can put it in the ground, I think I'd rather see them all in the ground. If we can't, then we should have a very clear set of rules
Right.
on it has to have this. One of the risks that he has, and I think it's true. I'm on a lot that's a 67-foot lot with 7 feet on both sides, right? And if somebody puts too much stuff on the side yards, I think we should have, and I'm making it up a bit. Each homeowner has to give away 1.5 feet for a common pathway to get to the back. Somehow you got to find that in. And I think we should be looking at plans before we say yes to these things. Have a good plan of these side yards, not we're going to put them on the side yard, but show what's there because I think you said it, Mark, pictures. I'd love to see that because I don't think we should make it unsafe for us or our workers getting to the backyard. They should be able to have access. So a lot of good things, and I love the fact that Jody's willing to take it on.
And just so you know, it's real, if you read the governing documents, I hate to always go back to that, but the modification committee is one of the few committees that actually, they write the rules, not the board. We have to approve the rules, and so we can certainly provide insight. We have somebody that's actually sitting in the audience here who participates, not as a voting member on the committee, but she's auditing the meeting. And they have really robust and lengthy discussions, so we will definitely bring this up at the next meeting. And at some point, we will get back to you, but I hope you know I hear you, and I certainly can relate to what you're saying.
Thank you.
Jody, one other thing that occurred to me, and Mike, if I heard you correctly, you came back and this was done.
Yes.
So I think, Jody, if I could ask the committee also to consider a notification of neighbors on either side. Should there be a 60-day, a 30-day, 90-day, depending on what it is for certain projects? Hey, maybe it's on the owners who are putting the project. They have to mail the letters or send an email or some notification in advance, just because of the seasonality of our community. And I think in your case, it may have triggered some different action.
Right. It would certainly help to have some input on the front end of it, or at least to understand why it's allowed. So.
No, I clearly hear you, so stay tuned.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
And I'm going to step up. Mary Ann Cusick at the same address. And I do want to say from my perspective, I'm not as concerned about the aesthetics as I am about the safety issues. And I've done a lot of research since we got back to look at safety. And, if you go online, you'll see the same thing, where the tanks themselves are not as much a concern, but it's all the connectors. And Mike talked about our experience with lightning. 2 years ago, all of our pool equipment all the electronics blew up and we had to replace the whole thing. This is literally right across from where our pool equipment is. So, you know, my concern is there's a bedroom behind the pool equipment. And so it's scary from my perspective as a resident thinking, you know, in the lightning storms, what's going to happen to this equipment? And it's so close to our house. So that's, I just wanted to add the safety issue because I'm big on safety with my grandchildren and then anybody else who might be sleeping in that bedroom besides us. And so that's a concern. So.
I've noted it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Mark? Seeing other comments? Perhaps I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Can I make a motion to adjourn the meeting at
Have a second? Renee seconds. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around. Thank you very much.
Spell your name again. Forster. Put another.
Tom and Renee, unanimous.
Ready to send out that community for my email.
That's
what I'm asking.
I gotta have,
We're ready, so now I need to know what you need.
we need a review of that program. That what we got wasn't.
Send something to